Okay. Alrighty. We are live and we will go through the automations portion that matches up with the email sequences because I realized yesterday that we really didn't even get to the automations so much, which is totally normal because the sequences actually take quite a bit of time. So we will go through these different automations. And now is when we're going to bring in more of the Trello board because the automations are very, very specific and not necessarily ones that you would even know to turn on. Like they very much are a follow directions thing. It's not a lot of, you're not dealing with a lot of choices. Once your email is set up, the automations are a completely black and white feature of applying them to these email sequences. So when we are, let me get the Trello board up first. There we go. Here we go. So on the Trello board, if you just type in the word automation, the one that you are going to use is North Pole to New York City basic email sequences and automations. Obviously, if you are changing something, if you have modified your North Pole to New York City in any way, which absolutely happens, then these are not going to be exactly what you use. So if you modify this and you're doing it when you're in PBK, then you would just post it in the Facebook group. More than likely, we'd also probably you'd ask me on a call, and so I would know. Okay, you need to add this one, this one, this one, and don't do this one, this one, this one. So if you're following like the glossary, if you're following what we've been talking about on the calls, these are the automations that I always start with, like from a ground zero perspective. We don't have to worry about this top part. Scroll up right in here. And this also has you like creating the form, creating the page so that if you are building out your North Pole to New York City, this is also having you build it in a way that you're not continually backtracking. Like, oh, I didn't know I needed that. And you're having to go backwards. Oh, I didn't know I needed that. And you have to keep going backwards. This will keep it in order for you. And for instance, we know, yep, I know what my North Pole to New York City is. Here, the opt-in lead magnet, and then whatever you would be naming your page. If you also need to use the forms checklist, that's why these are also linked. So there's other checklists to help you make the form, to help you make a page, because every time we're making something, it has its own set of checklist things, which if you know how to do it, obviously you just make it. But if you need a checklist, those are on there for you. So we are going to we're just going to pretend like we've done all these things. So we made our form. We have a page to put our form onto. We're going to add our URL there. Once we have, obviously, our page, we need email sequences. So here, I'm going to jump over into Kajabi and show you guys what that stuff looks like. And it's why I highly recommend use the naming convention. So if you're making the email sequence, name it ES welcome lead magnet. And then I'll use Amanda as an example. She could do ES welcome LM 5-day challenge. So inserting what your lead magnet is in that name portion, mine could be virtual meetup or daily training so that you know what it is, but you have the identifier at the beginning, especially if you're using any of my resources, because then you'll know exactly what you're working on each time. And the longer you use your Kajabi site, it will stay far more organized. I'm a huge fan of using naming conventions. So in your marketing tab, you've made your email sequences. So I'll be able to just open up my email sequence. And it's why we do automations last, because when you're adding things in, yeah, you can open those. I know, you can get some scissors and open it. It's okay. So our email sequence welcome lead magnet right here. You just open this up, and then we'll go back to the Trello board. Can you guys see Trello? Yep, okay. Please let me know if it doesn't flip, because sometimes Zoom gets locked on a screen and it doesn't update when I'm moving around. So here, yep, I'm moving right along. It says create your email sequence welcome lead magnet. So I'm going to create this so that I have it. And it'll give you instructions here, like you probably won't have your sales page intro if you've built your sales page first, which is one of the things I do recommend, you would have it. So, but a lot of people that are using these boards aren't listening to all these videos in order, so they don't know that. So that's why it says it down there. But here, so we're gonna move, we're just gonna keep moving through. We're gonna, okay, here we are. The first thing that you're gonna connect is your form to your welcome lead magnet sequence. So we're gonna go onto this, back into Kajabi, and you'll see I have the subscribe trigger right here. So when the form is submitted, the opt-in lead magnet name, then subscribe to this sequence. So if I click edit, I'm gonna take it, I'm gonna delete it, and then I'm gonna put it right back on for you guys. So I can hit delete. So very easy to turn things on and off. We're gonna go right in here. We're gonna say add trigger. So when form is submitted, I choose my form, which again, it has its opt-in lead magnet 5-day challenge, opt-in lead magnet quiz, opt-in lead magnet discovery call, whatever you want to call it, just follow the naming convention. When it's submitted, then subscribe to the email sequence, and I click save. So that is how you start to put in, layer in the automations. Questions so far? All righty, so we're gonna go back to the Trello board. So we're gonna check this off. Hey, Sabrina.
Hi.
Then let's see, opt-in, go to, yep, we did that. We did all of these at that one time, we did all of these things. So there we go. Okay, so congratulations. We've connected the lead magnet to the email sequence lead magnet, or yeah, email sequence welcome lead magnet. I definitely get tongue-tied when I'm trying to read and say all these words. So cross that off. Now you can double check it. So we can double check it in two places, because as you're filling things in, it will show up anywhere that it is connected. So here, this is the email sequence. This sequence itself is turned on from the automation. Now, if I go into forms and I open up that form that we just did, as long as I don't have two forms that have this name, we'll be all set. No, we're good. So here, when the form is submitted, lead magnet name, subscribe to this email sequence, okay? Ignore these other two because it's a test site. So I was obviously testing something else. So whatever we just added shows up right here. So as you start adding all kinds of automations, they will populate in the appropriate places. So do that. So now you're ready to continue. Perfect. Now we're going to create the next sequence, which is the nurture welcome. So these are for the people that did not click on the sales intro URL that you provided them, because that's the entire purpose of this first sequence of automations. So we're going to go back to the automations, or sorry, we're going to go back to the email sequence. And the nurture sequences are the one time where you are adding the automation onto the sequence that comes after, because the trigger is when the one before it is complete. So we have to go to the next one in line and put the automation on that one. And this is where, most people, when they're starting and they use the freebie pipeline from Kajabi and they have a really hard time getting it to convert for sales, the freebie pipeline has one email attached to it. Very few people are going to buy anything or download anything when you send them one email. You have to have this network or this infrastructure that shows up more than once. So here, the subscribe trigger, which it's already on here, when email sequence is completed and it's the one right before, then turn it on. So you can click edit, and here this was an example of, this one does have conditional automations on it. So if subscribe them to the nurturing welcome if they don't have the offer, intro offer or offer NYC, and if they're not subscribed to the email sequence intro. This part will be very confusing until you are actually doing it. When you're writing it and you can look at your worksheet from your flight plan and oh, I'm saying these emails right here. Yes, I don't want people that already own the offer to be getting these sequences. So send it to them if they don't own it. That will be absolutely confusing, but don't worry about it. When you get to that point, you can always ask questions, but it really doesn't make a lot of sense when it's just like theoretical and not in practical application. Questions?
How did you get to that page where you had the triggers after you set up your new email sequence?
Oh, it's right on the first page. So when you make, is that what you want to know? When I make this sequence?
Yeah.
Yep.
So you've already made the sequence and you saved it. And then I'm not getting that pop-up email campaigns. I'm under email campaign. I clicked on the, let's see, I'll click on the nurture one.
All right, let's see if I can recreate what you're doing. So if I make a new email sequence, So you have to make an email and save it for the sequence to exist. Once the sequence exists.
I missed a step there. I didn't fill enough in the email body to tell it I really have an email.
Yeah,
So,
you got to put a word in the email body or it won't save that email.
gotcha. Okay. So now what I'm doing to tag here is I'm clicking on the green arrow. Okay.
Yep. And the trigger that you would add is when your front door, so whatever your opt-in is, so form is submitted, then you choose your front door, and then move Zoom, click save. So now this sequence is when they're subscribed, when they submit their form, they're subscribed.
Okay.
Does that make?
Yeah,
that
now
sense?
I got it. I just missed a step
Perfect.
in there.
Perfect. So that is at the email, at the email sequence level. Now, when you are adding emails, so we're going to add in a couple of them right here. Let's add one and we'll make it day 5. Just drop. Oh, I know. So you'd put you'd write your email, but somewhere in there you would put in your link to your sales page. So here at the email level, because when they're going through the sequence, when they click on the email, that is when you set up the other triggers. So when email is clicked, it selected it right here, sales intro link. Oh, come on. Hit save. It's right there. Good jobby. There it is. I forgot to hit return. Make sure your link is hyperlinked or it won't read it. So if you put your link in there and it's saying, hey, it's not here, just go back in your email and make sure that it's hyperlinked. So go back to the sequence level. And here we have add action. And we're going to choose when it's clicked, meaning they've seen the sales page. Can't predict if they read it or not, but they did enough action to see it. That is all we want. And we are going to subscribe them to the next sequence in the little adventure. So now they get subscribed to the sales intro and I click save. Well, right now they're subscribed to 2 sequences. Okay, so equal and opposite reaction. I have to add an action, turn on, I got to unsubscribe them. So when they click, I want to turn off the one that they're currently on. So unsubscribe, and they're on the welcome lead magnet, click save. So now, anytime in the welcome lead magnet sequence that I am providing the link to the sales page so they can click on it, every single email that has the sales page link has to have 2 automations. Subscribe them to the sales sequence because they've seen the sales page, unsubscribe them from the welcome sequence. So there you will have automations at the email level, and you will have automations at the sequence level right here. And then every sequence has its own, set of parameters in terms of what are we turning on, what are we turning off. So as long as we know what our North Pole to New York City is, as long as we know what emails we're writing, we get both of those pieces done first. When we have that part finished, then we sit down with the Trello checkboard and we just methodically, do not be tired, do not be multitasking. When you're setting up automations, you have to be crazy focused, because you goof up one of those and things will fire when they're not supposed to, and they won't fire when you think they're firing. And trying to go under the hood and figure out where the mess up is very time consuming, and it's very confusing as it is. So even when I'm building, if I'm tired, or it's been a long day with the kids, or I have a bunch of stuff going on, I don't set up automations. Especially if I'm doing a full-blown North Pole to New York City for myself or somebody else, it's got to be focused and quiet and step by step, because it works fantastic if it's hooked up correctly. It will create the biggest nightmare if it is not hooked up correctly. Questions? Oh, Dora had a question. How do you know they are subscribed? How will Kajabi notify what steps need to be taken to get a notification when someone either subscribes or buys an offer? Great question. So let's go back into Kajabi. So when people are subscribing on your form page, you can set to send an email that says, hey, you have a new subscriber. So you can send it to a team member if there's someone that handles that for you, or you can send it to yourself. I will, yes, we have.
Mine's dry.
Oh, good, I'm glad.
Mine's super dry.
Did Easter eggs this morning, so he's letting me know his is dry. It's right here. So after submission, you just check this box that says send a notification to your team, and you can put as many emails in here as you want. I will turn this on for the first little bit to make sure everything's hooked up. But then once I have, once you start seeing your email inbox like fill up, you go, that was fun. I know it's working. I turn it off. So you don't have to keep it on forever, but definitely when you're starting out, when you're turning on a new funnel, when you have a new whatever going on, I definitely recommend it, just so that you're like, oh, yep, this person came through. Oh, cool. I expect to start seeing them move all the way through, but you will reach the point where you don't want to hear it anymore. So you have to come in here and uncheck the box. When they're on an offer, you do the same thing. So you go into your products tab, you go to your offers. This is a fun one. I highly recommend subscribe spouses and or older children to this, because then they start seeing when you're making money. It makes it for very, fun days. I learned this a little while, into starting. Chris would be like, so what'd you do today? And I was so tired, I couldn't tell him. So I'm like, well, screw this. I'm just gonna hook him up. So then he became my little notifier. He'd be like, oh, look, somebody else just joined BBK. Oh, look, you sold another lash package. Like it was really fun. So you can use Kajabi to make it really fun. Right here, send a notification to your team. So on the offer page, you do the same thing. Type in your email address, hit enter. Like that, it needs to be gray and have the X at the back of the email to know that it's taken. And that is how Kajabi lets you know. So it'll come into your inbox just like it does any of your other Kajabi emails. Let's see. Yeah, so this it's the easy way to let anybody know that needs to know. Like, hey, you need to know when this form gets submitted? Cool, I'm putting in your email address. hey, you need to know when I sell an offer. Cool, I'm putting in your email address. And it's easy enough to change it. So that they don't need to have any kind of permission in Kajabi. It is truly send them an email. That's all it does. So it works out very well on that front, for sure.
So right there where you were in your offers under products, and you had free product strategy, will you have free product strategies for every runway eventually? Like, would you say free product strategy for just, it's the same
It's the same.
verbiage, no matter what runway?
Yeah, unless I'm doing really different New York cities where having a different free, like different content is necessary. I keep one, like the ideal way of when you're using free product strategy as your lead magnet or as a complement to your lead magnet is that it allows you to put everything in one space. And even if you have different audiences, so for a while, and I've shifted it, so I do something different now, but I had two different types of people. I had Kajabians who had already purchased Kajabi that were in the free product. And I also have people that are looking at Kajabi for my affiliate links, my partner stuff. And so I had two different categories. One said, yep, I already own Kajabi. Great. Here's info that will help you learn how to use it. And then I had another category that said, I'm curious. How does this thing work? Could I even use it? So I didn't need two separate products for those people because there was an element of overlap. You know, what one found interesting, the other one would find interesting. And I didn't want to have them in different playgrounds. So yes, you can. And if it makes sense where, and I do a separate site. So Lashing Legally is one of my businesses where I am truly giving all my legal stuff, but it's strictly focused on eyelash artists. I have some great connections and that whole, world came about in the coolest way, but it's Lashing Legally. If I was running Lashing Legally on the Tamsin Horton site, which I don't, if they run on separate sites, but if I was running them on the same site, I would have two different free products because eyelash artists who want legal are not online course creators that are using Kajabi. I could not mix those two audiences without making a horrendous experience for everybody. So that would be an instance where I would have a different free product for a different runway. If that makes sense. Other questions?
I had a question going back to when you were creating the email sequence. And so I was trying to work on that yesterday. And when you have the, when it says when, and then you have your whole list of things that people do, you're starting to build that collection of choices from originally putting in the email sequence. Like when you go new email campaign, and then for instance, we just made one email sequence, welcome lead magnet. Okay. And then when you went in to do some automations, you had, trying to think how to ask you the question. Oh, okay, so when you did action, new action, and you have when, and we clicked on email sequences clicked. And then when you go down to the then category, is there a way, are those just standard things, or is there a way to add more things? Or would you need anything more than what's in here? No. Okay.
No, this is all you will use. And most of them, you will just be using these two. You'll be using subscribe them to a new sequence or take them off of the current sequence.
Okay.
That's, well, unless you're doing something different, those are the two that you will use. If you're doing something different, obviously you're looking at your list going, yep, when they get to this point and they click the link is to my virtual meetup. Cool. When you click that link, I want to register you to that event because the emails are associated with that event. So that's where you use, I've got my North Pole to New York City. I know exactly on this email, what are they clicking to and what is it that I need help to let Kajabi take over? Because Kajabi does this part so amazingly well. I mean, it doesn't break. Like people will often, say, oh my goodness, I'll see it in the big group and they're trying to like hire people to do this. And I'm like, if you just set it up right the first time, this doesn't break. You don't need a babysitter for this stuff because once it's hooked up, it doesn't break, it doesn't misfire, it doesn't screw it up. The hard part being you need someone who understands how to hook it up. You need a thinker at the beginning, and then you need no maintenance people. There's a big difference, especially in the Kajabi system. People will hire the button clickers. Like, I just want you to click all these buttons, but the button clickers, which does include Kajabi help, that is a lot. Those are not people building online businesses. They can tell you how the buttons work, but they don't, it's not even reasonable to expect that they would. They don't see the strategy. They don't see, oh, I'm setting up North Pole to New York City. Oh, I'm moving them from this sequence to nurturing a sale to moving them to a buyer sequence. Like all of those pieces, that is the front end stuff. You do that part, this part, it's minimal choices, turn it on, turn it off. And it truly, you don't have to babysit this stuff. Which is why you could not pay me to go back to WordPress. Kajabi goes down, I quit. Like I seriously would quit business. I couldn't go anywhere else. Because I just can't imagine trying to hook all this stuff up anymore.
Right. And
like
then
I did
it would be the exact same things when you're
fun.
under forms, correct? When
Yeah.
you're doing automations under form, you have the exact same choices.
You have the exact same choices. Yep.
Okay. And then when you add, when you're in that same place where you're at, when it says add action, and then it has add condition, then what does that mean?
That is, if you want to, we'll put it on, we'll go over here. When clicked, okay, so when clicked subscribe, we'll edit this one. So when they clicked the link to the sales page, now I want to send them a bunch of emails, 5 to 7, convincing them, persuading them to purchase this offer. Well, if they already own the offer, I really don't want them to get these emails. So add condition, select the filter, add, where's offers? Offers. Has any of these offers?
Now, are those conditions something that you made or are they already pre-made?
You have to, no, they're pre-made. You have to have the Kajabi plan that includes additional conditions. It's a $50 upgrade. It is worth every penny and then some. Like, think of this as the cheapest, most dependable, most trustworthy, never get tired virtual assistant you could ever hire. Like, you can't hire someone from the really, really inexpensive countries for $50 a month to work for you 24/7 because they're going to screw stuff up.
Right. So you're
Buy
saying,
the upgrade. Buy the upgrade.
so you're saying that at this point with our regular, if we're on the basic plan, then we just have conditions that we can write in here or no?
You
It's
won't,
only-
if you click that button, it will probably tell you you have to buy an upgrade.
Gotcha. Okay.
So if you go to click this button, if you don't have it, if you click the button and it's there and it lets you save, then it's on your plan. And everybody has different plans. I have the founder's plan. So I have unlimited everything and I have access to every button. So if you click something or you see something on mine that you don't see on yours, then it's on a different plan. And they're really, unless you're running a mega enterprise, there's really just the basic and the pro plan. Or
So
the
I
basic
must have
and
the
pro.
advanced plan because, excuse me, when I'm going on to conditions, it does have a pop-up box. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yep. So you'll click add condition, and then you'll have select filter, and then you can choose any of these, whatever these are in there.
And then can you add more in there somewhere?
You can add, but the only way you can add is if you're using custom field filters, which if you're using a custom field, you're creating that at the form level. So you can see here, I've done tests. I've created custom fields on forms. So when I made those, all of my choices show up in here. Rarely are those ever going to come into play. Like I haven't even built anything for anyone in the last few years where we have been using a custom filter of any sort.
Would you mind clicking on that filter again, just so I can see what the drop-down box is?
Yep.
And make sure I have exactly what you're having there.
Yep. And should be
Okay.
all this.
So I must already have that plan if I'm seeing that, correct?
Yeah. Click a button, try and click save. If you can save it, then yeah. If it gives you a message that says, nope, you can't do it, then you don't have the plan.
Okay, I don't want to mess this up if I
Yeah.
have to go back and fix it.
No, but once you're working in it, and you're going in to do it, and you're like, okay, yep, I want to add in that condition that, hey, if they already own it, I don't want to send this to them, which is what I do a lot of the time, because PBK people will test out different things, or I'll make things for them to test. Now that I have the test site, it's easier, but on my regular site, if I'm like, look, I don't want them getting a bunch of emails for things they already own, I just throw that in there as an extra safeguard. So, but depending on if you're using it for events, if you're using it for different purchases, like it allows you to, if you ever follow Ryan Levesque, the ask method, which is an advanced strategy. If anyone has that book on your radar, put it on the shelf for a fair bit of time, okay? It's fantastic concepts. I use them a lot. I do not use them with beginners. That is where the problem comes in, is people try to do it at the beginning of their business. It is not advantageous for you at the beginning of your business. But the ask method, anyone that's teaching how to, segment your audience based on their interests, like, oh, ask them 3 questions and put them into a bucket. That's fantastic when you have a converting business. That is disastrous when you are trying to get to a converting business, because you have just exponentially added to your learning curve, trying to get it all done, trying to keep all the pieces in play. It's like driving a car with your brakes on, like both feet on the brakes. And you think you're doing really smart stuff because the person that explained it was very persuasive and very smart. It absolutely has a place, just not at the beginning at all. Yeah. But that's really what these conditions, the additional conditions, allow you to do, is the fancy footwork.
So right now, don't worry about that.
Don't worry about it.
That's high school. That's
Yes.
PhD.
Yes, okay. That is. I will always tell people, like, hey, we need to do this. We need to add this. Or hey, you know what? Let's turn this on, because sometimes it can be a beginning business, or it's a business that switched directions. So, oh, you know what? I have 100 or thousands of people in my database, but I've pivoted my business. Great. Then we don't want to send any of this to anybody who did this other stuff before. So there are times where it does make sense, but from where I see it the most is someone that says, oh, well, I want to do the ask method, which is Ryan Levesque. Awesome. I know what you're trying to do. We're going to do it in a better way for where you're at while you're getting stuff set up. Because otherwise, you'll either get yourself really confused or you will pay someone like myself thousands of dollars to set it up for you. And it's unnecessary, like absolutely unnecessary. And I'm now at the point where I just won't build it. I'll be like, you know what? You don't need it. I know it's going to hurt your business. I won't build it. But if you're dead set and you want it, here, I'll give you a referral to someone I would trust to build it. But I'm just not wasting my time building it for you. Is your money great? No, quite honestly, because you don't know what to do with it once I build it. So when it doesn't work, guess who you get upset with? Me. Because it's like I paid for it. I paid a lot of money for it. It should be working. Like I should be able to just turn on my Facebook ad and this should work miraculously. And I'm sitting there going, you're running ads to something that you didn't even know would sell without an ad. You're trying to segment an audience that you didn't know would work. So it's not that the process is wrong, it's that you did it too soon. So now I know that it's not worth it. Like it is not worth the money because of all the additional experiential feelings that come with it. That, But some people are just dead set. I want this. Great. Go pay them. Go for it. And typically what will happen is they will come back into my world in 12 to 18 months. Frustrated, overwhelmed. It's a mess. And I go, you know what? No big deal. We're going to start over. What's your North Pole? What's your lead magnet? What's your intro product? What's your New York City? So it just, which is, it's fine. It's absolutely fine. There's no wrong way. There just are some very long ways to do it. Other questions?
When you were in your Trello board and you typed in the word automation, where did you do that? Because I'm getting back to your Trello board.
Just a second. Let me just uncheck these boxes because if I forget, then whenever you guys look at the board, all these check marks are there because you can't undo mine. You can once you save the card to your own board. You can check off boxes for sure, but not when you're just visiting.
Oh, so maybe I can't get in there because I don't have my own board.
That could be. So do you have a search box up here?
Mm-mm.
Okay. You should. Can you share your screen? Because you might not be logged in. You have to be logged into Trello.
Oh, maybe that's it.
So if you create a free account on Trello, then you should have the search bar.
Can you see mine?
Yep, sign up for free. So if you want to be able to search.
Okay,
yep.
I already have an account with them, but I just,
yep.
Okay.
So yeah, if you log in,
mm-hmm.
then the search bar will show up.
Okay. I haven't been using it, so I don't have my password with me, so okay, I'll know.
When you look it up, then you'll have the search bar. So once you have the search bar, you just type in automation and it will pull up everything that has it, but it's always the top card.
Okay, and then that saves it to my Trello?
Nope, when you want to save it to yours, there's instructions, so you don't ever have to worry about where it says start here, over here, how to use these checklists. It has a video on here and it has the instructions on how to get the card over to your own board. So
Got it.
when you take the card and you put it on your own board, then you can check things off. You can add in your own graphics. You can attach your own whatever. And I always update the map. I mean, I update everything from that Trello board. I make that Trello board for PBK. At the moment, it's open to anybody. Like anybody can use it. I haven't even put it behind a subscriber email. It's like it's not my front door, which makes it really nice because I can share it anywhere because there's no opt-in. But I make it all with the intent purpose for, Sabrina. And then it's just a perk for other people. But it'll say on there, like, use the Bizzlebox contract. Well, it has the link in there. So if you're a member, it takes you right to the Bizzlebox contract. But if you're not a member, it would take you to the Kajabi screen that says, hey, you don't have permission to do this. Log in to access the library. At which point people say, how do I get your library? No. I'll let you know when I'm open. I'll see you in April or September.
That reminds me, when I was on your website today, or I clicked on something off the Trello board and it took me to a page where you would scroll down and it'd say, join the PBK community for $59 a month. And that took me to the checkout.
Oh, I got a rogue link. If you find that page again, you want to send it to me.
I did. Because I thought, I think that was supposed to go to the wait list.
Yeah, it is. Yep.
Okay. I saved it just for that reason because I thought, I bet she would want to know.
Thank you. Yeah, there's, thankfully no one else has found it, but.
Well, I did. I found it before and I thought, well, okay. Yep. Is she open or is she not open?
Nope, I'm not open.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Nope, I'm not.
Because if somebody would, just theoretically, if we had a FUPA like that, and somebody clicked on that and bought that, then it would come to you as a purchase. Versus not, it wouldn't say, oh wait, we're not officially open. So you get that notice saying somebody bought it, and you go like, oops, we weren't open.
Yep.
Okay.
So then you just reach out to them and be like, I'm so sorry, I had a rogue link. I'm opening in 2 weeks or I'm opening in 6 months. I'm going to, you'll see a refund from me. Love to have you join. Here's the link to get your name on the right spot. Yeah.
Okay.
Like I said, that's why even when you try to keep it simple, you get a rogue link.
I hear you.
Crap. Darn it. I thought I shut it all down. Oh, well, okay. So yeah, you just handle them. You just handle them as they come. It's not a big deal.
Okay.
Nope.
I just wanted to, when I saw that today, I wanted to make sure I brought that to your attention. And for that reason, I copied the link so that in case you said, could you send that to me?
Yay.
I'd be ready.
Yeah. Other questions for automations? You said they're definitely one. You play with them. You can know they're there. You can do anything with them. But until you're building stuff out, it's not something you play with because you will scale a mess. But they allow you to do whatever you want. They don't break. They don't get messed up. They are, and I had so many trust issues before I joined Kajabi. I can say in the last 4 years, they've all been cured. Like I hook up an automation and I do not worry about it, which is, I didn't think I would ever get over my digi duct tape nightmares, but I have, because now people are like, well, do you trust it? And I'm like, I haven't even thought about it in years. Like I haven't had anything break. So it is, but I don't hook it up either till I know, yep, North Pole, New York City is set, email sequences are set, I know what I want to have happen, and then sitting down to do your automations might take you a half a day as a total beginner setting something up for the first time. But if I'm sitting down and I'm hooking stuff up, maybe an hour and a half to hook up an entire North Pole to New York City. So, and I use my own checklists to make sure I don't skip a step.
What email would you like me to send that to?
Tamsin at tamsinhorton.com. I am going to stop streaming this one.